Hi everyone, welcome back. And with me today we have Mariam. Oh no, sorry, I have to call her Dr. Siti Mariam. Alright, been some time, no? Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, we last met I think about more than 20 years back. She came back from Sweden after attaining her PhD, permanent head. Oh, sorry, that's me. Hers is Doctor of Philosophy. Mine is permanent head damage.
I can
That's
see
right, for you can see that. Please secure that. All right. So today we have an insight. So stay tuned, please. We're going to hear more about her experiences and how she has her journey to be a cancer researcher, right? And also moving forward, what she's doing next. Right? So, how do you actually get into this? Oh, sorry. Before that, you came back just few months. And of all the places, I know you started in Asia, why Sweden? Yeah, why Sweden of all the places? I know the place is beautiful, right? But how?
I didn't even know Sweden existed at that time.
Serious?
Because
the only thing I know is my Volvo.
The only thing I know was Switzerland.
Okay.
That's what a lot of people are talking about. But then now I know Sweden have Volvo, ABBA, IKEA,
Yes.
like all these big names.
Yes.
And I'm so proud I live in Sweden.
So how many years were you there?
I've been living there for about 10 years.
10 years. And what were you doing there?
So I was getting my permanent head damage.
Oh, so okay, yes.
I get my bachelor's from NUS,
NUS,
National
right.
University of Singapore.
So after bachelor's, you went to?
After my bachelor's, I find that field of natural medicine,
Right.
which at that point of time in Singapore, there were 3 labs on TCM, traditional Chinese
Yes.
medicine, that were just starting up. They
Right.
just formed the lab. It wasn't even, it's not even in the clinics or hospitals yet.
Right.
So that was the very start of TCM.
Okay.
And I remembered applying to all 3 labs.
And?
No response.
Serious.
So that was where I went to Malaysia.
Okay. And?
And after I finished my master's in Malaysia,
Okay, so you got a master's in Malaysia.
I got my master's in Malaysia. And then I went, I came back to Singapore. And I was job seeking. But all the dream job that I applied to, I didn't get them.
Sorry, what was your dream job then?
I was looking for something in like MOH or
As a what? What?
Actually, I wasn't really clear back then. I was just looking anything medical.
Or any medical, I'm fine.
I'm fine.
Alright, so.
I would have wanted to study medicine, but then because at JC I had to drop. I was in triple science, but I had to drop one subject.
Okay.
Then I dropped physics.
Oh.
And then I heard that to enter to NUS medical field, we need triple science. Actually, on hindsight, I don't think I ever even applied because I heard of this requirement.
Right.
So, okay. Anyway, advice, even if you read anything, just apply.
Just apply.
Just apply.
Never know.
You never know.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. You might be the chosen one.
Possible, yes.
Okay, so I didn't get the jobs that I applied for. And I was offered a position in NUS to do my PhD on scholarship.
Okay.
And
yes.
that position was not going to start for at least 6 months more. And because my master's was on like totally organic chemistry, and my bachelor's was on biochemistry.
Okay.
And then I'm going to the field of molecular biology. Maybe it sounds the same for you, but they're actually very different. Okay. So the professor was telling me, you have about 6 months. Why don't you do an internship somewhere? Just go to a lab and do an internship because unfortunately they do not have any funds or any grant to let me do this internship in the lab while waiting for the scholarship to kick in. So at that point of time, A-Star was organizing like a seminar by overseas universities.
Yeah.
And there were a few universities, and at the end of that seminar, I asked every single representative, do you have anything like natural medicine in your university? So there were about 2 or 3 of them,
Okay.
but only one of the representatives asked, like told me, okay, why don't you come for an interview?
Okay.
Okay. And then I went for the interview, and then I guess I must have impressed him.
Sure you have. Sure.
And he said that with my experience in my masters, he can recommend me to 3 professors I can apply to in Sweden for this internship that I'm looking for. And
so the one that got you was it the university or just an agent?
it's the university.
University.
Okay, so that is Karolinska Institute from Sweden.
Sweden. Okay.
So I applied to all the 3 professors that he mentioned to me, and one of them replied.
All right.
Okay, so I went to Sweden to this professor on the basis of being on a 6 months internship. Just for that. So I have no ambitions whatever to do PhD there. And at the end of the 6 months, the professor asked me, hey, would you like to apply for a PhD scholarship together? Because to apply for a PhD scholarship, we need like a supervisor and a student apply together at that time. So I said, why not? So just try it, And then we applied, and then I got it.
Wow.
We got it.
Okay.
So I was like, oh no, what should I tell the professor in Singapore that? And during that 6 months gap between A-level and NUS, I did a lot of part-time work. The longest stint was as a relief teacher. That is almost a whole 6 months. I enjoyed some parts of it, like where I felt I made an impact on the students' life. And okay, the thing is, because I was a relief, I didn't have a curriculum to teach. So I go there, and like for a primary 6 student, I was like, okay, why don't you come in front and just talk about what you want to be when you grow up.
All right.
And then they told me, after we had that practice, they said, teacher, nobody ever tell us to do that before. And I was like, really? Do you like it? He said, yes. It was very nice.
Wow, that inspired you then.
Yeah, but everyone made me like, I'm gonna break my head, because one of it was in a music class, and I was like, what do I do in a relief music class? I don't know how to play the piano. I was like, Mary had a little lamb. And at some point, one of the students started to say, shut up.
Serious?
Not to me, to another student.
Oh, okay, I thought you did.
And then the other student replied, shut up. Within like 1 or 2 minutes, like the whole class started shouting, shut up! I was like, what am I going to do? I think that was when I started playing the piano like Mary Had a Little Lamb, because I don't know what else to do. They went quiet. But I mean, obviously that's why NIE training is compulsory for teachers.
Yes.
I was just doing really teaching after JC, so I had no training whatsoever. So, okay, I've always wanted to be a teacher, and then this 6 months experience in that school made me realize that I don't want to be a teacher.
Okay.
But I still love to teach.
Teaching.
Then I think, okay, why not I try to be a teacher in university or polytechnic at a higher level. And then I realized that later on, after I find out that to be a lecturer in NUS or in the in Singapore at the university level, I must have an overseas experience somewhere in my education, either in my bachelor's or master's or PhD or
And that
postdoc.
is at the highest level, tertiary. Aisha.
Yeah, to be a lecturer
Oh,
in
okay.
NUS.
Mm.
I don't know if it changed, but they say if we have been only studying in Singapore through and through all the way, it's very, 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 very hard to really get a lecturer position.
Possibly because I remember because I was also doing my studies and at the same time I was actually about 6 months or so as a research assistant then at one of the universities, NTU. I was doing sports science then. Right? So again, to proceed forward, like what you said, true, you need an experience and also the academic qualification. And actually, one of the things to be on, you need to have a PhD. I do agree. You need that experiences and also the paper qualifications to be instituted as a staff now.
I mean, at that point of time, I was thinking of, on the narrative that is so unfair. Like only the rich can go overseas. So does it mean that they are putting a limit on who can be a lecturer? But on hindsight, having been overseas, I realized that it is a life-changing and mind-changing experience. I'm not bragging or talking big or something, but it does make a change in your perception.
Essentially, the experiences that you gain overseas.
Experiences, the differences in culture, and then like we learn how the other people work, how they communicate. It's very different.
So that's how you get to Sweden.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's how you got your PhD in Sweden.
Yeah. When I got that PhD offer, and then I have all this playing in my mind, and then I said, you know what? I will take the chance. I will say sorry to the professor in Singapore, and I will take the chance.
How do you tell the professor in Singapore? I'm just curious.
I just wrote. I wrote a nice, a very apologetic email, and I said that I really appreciate that you have accepted me, and I got this opportunity to. I was offered a scholarship, and I felt that maybe I'm not sure when I would get such a chance again. So I'm thinking that I would like to take this up. I hope you really don't mind.
So
and then his reply was, yes, of course.
Wow.
You should take it.
That's very supportive.
Yeah, I think he understands.
It's a golden opportunity.
Exactly, he understands the opportunity.
Right, so you've been on the academic track from a bachelor's to master's and eventually PhD. But prior to the PhD, just if you can share what PhD. I mean, you can just start at master's and go into the working world, to the industry, and be a professional there. So what makes you want to do a PhD?
Examination is by serendipity.
By chance.
Because I applied for the job and I didn't get it, and then I got offered for the NUS scholarship, but then I got offered for the Swedish scholarship, which I took up. So it just so happened that.
So now that you have your PhD, there's a lot of expectations of that, a lot of responsibility. What they say in Spider-Man, with power
comes responsibility.
So with that power of PhD. So what's the how did you get into this field? Right, it could be your in cancer research, but it can be researching in other fields also.
Okay, right, the part I would say that everything is by accident, by chance.
Okay.
But my main interest has been in natural medicine.
Sure.
But as you know, at that time when I was entering university in the US, I had a mentor. So I wanted to ask him for this field of study for natural medicine, but I don't have a name for it. And since Harry Potter was the hit at the time,
wow!
And I'm a huge fan, I finished the whole series at the time.
So am I. We really enjoy that. Okay.
So and I watch all the movies.
So which part of Harry Potter?
So my favorite character is Hermione.
Oh yes.
Okay. And so they have a class called herbology.
I do remember. Yes.
So I asked the professor at NUS, do you have herbology? And then he looked at me and he said, we don't have herbology. We have biology, we have chemistry, we have biochemistry,
Aboriginal.
Okay, I'm the first in my family to go to university.
Okay.
So there's no one before me that can ask, what are
Right,
this?
okay.
You know, what do you study in this? So, just on the basis of the name, biochem,
Yes.
I thought biochem means I get a mixture of both. So it's like, okay lah, I take biochem lah. Okay, so that was the start. So it was very interesting. I mean, on hindsight, right, it's very interesting because I have to study all the minute details about all the pathway in the body, all the biochemical pathway.
Yes.
So actually, on hindsight, that was a very important step to help me in my PhD.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and at that point of time, because you have to study pathways, right? Each module will have one pathway that we're learning. And then after that, Roche, the company.
CHE, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not the chocolate. But I don't know, do they
Roche.
produce?
It sounds yeah. We pronounce Roche. Oh no, this is Roche. This is Roche. Okay.
Yeah, Roche. So they have one biochemical chart. You
Yeah.
can Google it.
Yeah.
So that was my obsession. Later on, when I was doing my PhD, I actually got to know that they gave that chart to students. So I applied for it and I keep. I ordered two, one for the lab and one for myself.
Okay.
So when I get it, it's like, my precious.
Sounds familiar. They do that again. My precious.
My precious.
That's from another movie, Hobbit.
Yeah. Oh no, Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings. Okay. Yeah.
So anyway, I started with biochemistry, and when I graduated for my bachelor's in biochemistry, next step, right? Then I was still looking around for this natural medicine. I still don't know what it's called.
Okay.
And then happened that one of my friends, actually two of them, they were going to Malaysia, and that time we were quite close. So they were going to Malaysia, and then he told me, Mariam, you want to come with us? My uncle, he study natural product.
Okay.
I was like, what natural product? Then I go and see what is it. So I went there, and then we had an interview.
Alright.
And then, I still don't have a name for it. So I just told the professor what I want to study. I said, it's like, I would like to study about herbs. Because growing up, my mom, my family came from a village, Malacca.
Okay.
But because of work, there was a close connection between Malacca and Singapore.
Yes.
So my grandfather worked here.
Okay.
That was before the separation,
Right.
before Singapore independence. So my grandfather worked here, so that's where my parents settled here. And when my grandparents retired, they went back to Malacca. So my parents are still in Singapore, and we visit Malacca very often.
Right.
So I got exposed to this traditional medicine very early on. And so maybe on hindsight it's called traditional medicine now, but I didn't even know it's traditional medicine. I mean, they just said, oh, you use this, I forget the name. Herbs. That's why I call it herbology.
Yeah,
sorry.
herbology. So.
And then it's like, there was
That's how you get
something
herbs.
like a paper that they roll and put in the ear for sinus, and I don't even know what's the name. And then, okay, there's so many things that I can say whatever they do, and you're like, huh?
Yeah.
What is that? So, okay. Anyway, I just told the prof that I would like to study traditional medicine, Malay medicine. Want to study the herbs, like how they work. And then he said, okay, great, you can join our lab. But I said, I know that it's a chemistry lab, totally 100% chemistry lab. And he said, I told him I don't have I don't have a chemistry background. He said, it's okay, you will learn. He just loved that I was so passionate about it when I was telling him what I want to do. So yeah, I got in on the basis of passion, or what he feels is very passionate. So that was the start of the natural product chemistry. So that is one of the field. Later on, I found out actually in NUS they have that as a module in pharmacy. Okay?
Oh, as a module.
As a module in pharmacy. So if anybody want to study this and they wouldn't mind going pharmacy, they can take it as a module.
Right.
Okay.
So,
sorry.
do you really stay? No, you take up the offer by the professor?
I did.
You did. And how long was it?
So, for the masters,
Also,
since that was for master's program.
Masters.
I didn't have any chemistry background.
Yeah.
I was doing bachelor's plus masters at that time. So
How's that?
while I'm doing the research,
Yes.
it's a totally research based.
Okay.
I have to take courses, and I took the master's courses.
Oh, juggling both courses at the same time.
Yeah,
Terrible.
and then because it was so hard for me to really understand. I mean, the bachelor's course was on spectroscopic methods.
And what's that? It's like I'm just a layman, okay? I'm non-bio, non-chemistry, although I took that in school.
The spectroscopic methods are basically methods to analyze chemicals or to analyze molecules, like because when we want to study the molecule or whatever comes from the plant, we want to know what is active in the plant.
All right.
I will go into it.
Wow.
We need to have methods.
Sure.
Okay, so the methods are called spectroscopic methods in a lump, a lump name. But then within the spectroscopic methods, there are many different, like mass spectroscopy, mass spec, and then GCMS, LCMS. Okay, those are mostly mass spec. And then you have the chromatographic methods. So that is spectroscopic methods are for identification. The chromatographic methods are for separating all the molecules. I hope I don't lost you here. Anyway, alright.
I'm a student now. We're actually learning biochemistry.
Since you asked me what I learned.
Yes.
Okay.
So fine. Educate me, please. I think not just myself, the people out there are learning a lot.
And anyway, just so you don't get demoralized.
No, if I start to sleep on the table, means I'm lost.
Okay. I repeated that module 3 times.
Why?
To understand it, because I need to apply it for my master's project.
Right.
So I repeated that module until I understand it. So, but then I was just sitting in. I didn't have to register or pay for that module. And it is such. I mean, the lecturers saw me so many times until they know who I am. So anyway, during the defense, it was the same professors because it's that field, it's a small field. And they say, yeah, we know you, you're so hardworking and you take the module 3 times and now you finally finish your master's, congrats. So, just for the record, I took 5 years.
It's fine.
But that was not the only reason.
Yes.
Okay, so now
that's not the reason for the 5 years?
That was not the only reason.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
So,
what I was doing, this natural product chemistry, is also in my degree is called drug discovery, but actually the name is natural product chemistry. What it exactly is, because drug discovery is also very wide.
Okay.
So what I was doing in my masters, the lab technicians, the lab technicians, they already went to interview. Like aborigines and traditional practitioners.
Right.
And they already found out what kind of plants are they using in the practice. So our job as the students and the other researchers, including, I think the PhD people didn't go at that time. I was doing my master's. So we went to the forest, collect this plant, and then we do the extraction. And then we have to do the separation. That's where I need the chromatographic techniques.
Alright.
After separation, I need to identify whatever I isolate. That is where I need the spectroscopic methods.
Okay, now it makes sense.
And then from there, we have to piece together and find out what is this molecule. But then, in this process, we were doing it using a bioassay guided method. So what bioassay guided method is that when every step, when I do an extract, I apply that extract on a biological test.
Okay.
And then we see if there is any effect on that biological test before we see, okay, this is a good plant to proceed on. So at first, I was given to work. I was given the task to work on nitric oxide, but the experiment involves some radioactive substances.
Oh.
So after a while, I start getting all this like getting headaches and I don't feel well. And I said, I'm not going to work on this project anymore. And then they said, okay, why don't you work on cancer? Why don't you work on cancer?
Just like that, you just want it. So
no, because they have collaborators.
Okay.
So they have collaborators who work on cancer. They have collaborators who work on other diseases.
Right.
So the one that was working on nitric oxide, like I didn't like the techniques. So I was put to work together with people who are working on cancer. So the people that we collaborate with, they work in the medical department at the university. And so usually what people do is that in our lab, they just isolate and then they will pass it to another student in the medical department to test.
Okay.
But I was very ambitious. I said I want to do it myself.
To do the testing.
So that's why also I take a long time because I'm like, I want to try this. So I did the assay. So what the assay was indicating, we have cancer cells, and then as a control we have normal cells. And then we have the plant extract that I've gotten from the forest and we extracted. We apply it on both cells. And then we are looking for something that kills the cancer cells or stop it from growing while not affecting the normal cells.
Right.
So that was like the first stage of drug discovery.
Okay.
Then from there, I have to do this bioassay at every step. So for example, the extract is a whole plant extract. Maybe we put it in water or in methanol. There are different ways. And when you have a whole plant extract, there's like thousands of molecules in there. And then after that, after seeing which is good extract to work on, and I do a separation by the chromatographic methods.
I remember that.
Right. So during this chromatographic methods, we can choose how we want to separate. So first, the step that I did was first by polarity, just by polarity, and then later on we do by size. And then later on, when it goes to like even deeper, then we there's like deeper separation until it comes to the point that we separate even to the molecule level. So from thousands to one, with things that we cannot see.
So what do you find at the end of this? I mean, you got your cancer, you're thrown into a cancer field. Then you got this herbal part, the herbs part, and extraction. So what do you discover? Is there a relation there?
So
does the herbs be able to, I would say cure, be able to minimize or reduce the cancer cells?
So that's at that stage of my research. That lab, if you remember, it was a chemistry lab.
Okay.
So what they were interested in was to find a compound that is new, that is novel in terms of structure. The compound that I found interesting, it was through the random collection. Okay. But then in random collection, at first we only collect like 200 grams of the plant, but that is not enough to do that detailed research to separate enough compound. So once we found an active compound from the first stage, we are supposed to do a recollection and get like 1 kg of it. So
That's
for
a lot.
yeah, so for 3 collections, and even if I say consecutive, it takes like at least 6 months, like in between collection and all this process. For at least 3 to 4 collection, none of the major collection are active. So I was like, what?
Yeah.
So, but it got to something interesting because of this, I read further, and that's where I came across the literature that said that when you collect the plant and where you collect the plant, all of them have an effect on the constituent of the plant, means what the plant contains. That is why, if you read all those stories about medicine men going to the mountains, the story always goes like they will be away for months and they will come back when they come back.
Right.
And for me, it's like it starts to make sense because he needs to know exactly where, when to collect. And all these medicine people, I really have high respect for them because they don't have all these big machines. They just identify whichever has medicinal value by smelling, tasting, and whatever. And actually, that's why all this traditional medicine have gone through human testing because they said if it didn't work, if it's toxic,
they would have gone.
They would have died. Yeah, kind of. So they had undergone human testing actually.
That's called natural testing.
Yeah. Your name, huh?
Yeah, it's called natural testing. Hey, please put it in the encyclopedia for that. Alright, take a bit. Okay, yeah, sorry.
So that's where I think one of the difficulty of doing natural product research or the difficulty in dealing with traditional medicine is that you have to be really an expert on whatever you're collecting. Because, imagine if I go to the forest, I went to the same forest twice, I went to a different forest, I think once or twice, to collect the same plant. And we even went to the same exact spot where we collect the previous one.
Then
It's
not the same.
It's still didn't.
Not even similar.
So it was not active. And then I was at the point of giving up, and I thought, let me try to just do a fractionation, just separate them further, and then just concentrate them so that maybe it's existent in like very minute amount, and if I concentrate it enough, I get enough, and it worked.
Oh, finally!
That's how I get to graduate in the end.
And that's your master's.
That's my master's.
All right.